Devaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Ajnanatamrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kum karoti vachalam pangum lankate giram Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatare Paramanandamala Shri Chaitanya Nitai Gauram Sita. So here we are reading from Canto 10, Chapter 24, verses 36 to 38. So thank you everyone for being here. Hare Krishna, and thank you for this opportunity to read from Srimad Bhagavatam. Tasmai namo vrajajanai sahachakra atmanatmane aho pashyata shailosau rupino anugraham vyadat. Translation and purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Together with the people of Vraja, the Lord bowed down to this form of Govardhan hill, thus in effect offering obeisances to himself. Then he said, just see how this hill has appeared in person and bestowed mercy upon us. So the Brajvasis might be thinking, oh, we're just worshipping this particular hill with all kinds of paraphernalia. But how do we know that this hill is actually accepting all our offerings? Krishna has told that this hill will personally accept, Govardhan will personally accept all the offerings. So there may be some doubt. So that's why Krishna actually manifested the form. And then he's now saying, just see how this hill has appeared in person and bestowed mercy upon us. So Krishna is making sure like everybody is seeing, and then they're having this faith that Govardhan is personally accepting their offerings. But it is clear from this verse that Lord Krishna had expanded himself and was appearing in his normal form among the festival goers of Vrindavan, while simultaneously manifesting himself as a great form of Govardhan hill. Thus, in his form as a child, Krishna led the residents of Vrindavan in bowing down to his new incarnation as Govardhana hill. And to all he pointed out the great mercy bestowed by this divine form of Govardhan. Lord Krishna's amazing transcendental activities were certainly in keeping with the festive atmosphere. Yesho avajanato martyan kamarupi vanaukasaha hantihi asmai namasyamaha sharmane atmano gavam. This Govardhan hill, assuming any form he wishes, will kill any residents of the forest who neglect him. Therefore, let us pay our obeisances to him for the safety of ourselves and our cows. Purport Kamarupi indicates that the form of Govardhan can manifest as poisonous snakes, wild animals, falling rocks, and so on, all of which are competent to kill a human being. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, the Lord presented 6 theoretical points in this chapter. 1. That karma alone is sufficient to determine one's destiny. Point 2, that one's conditioned nature is the supreme controller. 3, that the modes of nature are the supreme controller. 4, that the Supreme Lord is simply a dependent aspect of karma. 5, that he is under the control of karma. And 6, that one's occupation is the actual worshipable deity. The Lord presented these arguments not because he believed them, but rather because he wanted to stop the impending sacrifice to Indra and divert it to himself in the form of Govardhana hill. In this way, the Lord desired to agitate that falsely proud demigod. Iti adrigodvijamakam vasudeva prachodita Yatha vidayate gopa saha Krishna vrajam yayuhu. The members of the coward community, having thus been inspired by Lord Vasudev to properly execute the sacrifice to Govardhan Hill, the cows and the Brahmanas returned with Lord Krishna to their village Braja. Although the Govardhan Puja was performed in a blissful and successful way, the matter was hardly finished. Lord Indra, after all, tremendously powerful, and he received the news of the Govardhan sacrifice with burning anger. What ensued will be described in the following chapter. Thus ends the purpose of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 10th canto, 24th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Worshipping Govardhana Hill. So here we are reading these last few verses of this chapter where Krishna has inspired the residents of Vrindavan to worship Govardhan Hill in the place of Indra. So he gave the elaborate instructions how to worship in terms of what kind of bhoga, because they were already preparing bhoga for the yajna. So Krishna inspired the residents of Vrindavan to offer all those bhoga to Giriraji. And he also told they should be worshipping the cows and the Brahmanas. And he also established the system how they should go around in parikrama. That the Brahmanas go in the front chanting and leading the party, and also the men, they follow them, and then the ladies, the old people, and the children, they follow in carts, in bullock carts. So in this way, he established a system for executing the parikrama. And now that the parikrama is being, that they offered all the bhoga and they did the parikrama and the worship, everything, now that there may be a doubt in their minds, like, okay, we really cooked a lot of food, and is that all being like accepted? Does this mountain even accept this? Does this rock, does it even eat all the food that we have offered? So to clarify that, Krishna personally expanded in a special form of a bigger mountain on top of the mountain. And then he ate all that and asked for more, give me more, and then they got more. So in this way, he made sure that all the residents of Vrindavan personally had this experience of seeing Govardhan. And that's why he is saying, just see how this hill has appeared in person and bestowed mercy upon us. So don't worry, even if you have any fear that Indra would actually do something because we did not do the sacrifice for him, this particular hill will actually protect us. So that is why he is in the 37th verse saying that this Govardhan hill can assume any form he wishes and kill any residents of the forest who neglect him. So if out of fear we neglect Govardhan, out of fear of Indra, if we neglect Govardhan hill also is powerful. You are worrying about Indra actually causing disturbance. What about Govardhan? See how big form that this particular Govardhan has assumed. It can take any other form, not just this big form. It can assume any other form and actually kill if somebody is like disrespecting it. So we don't want to actually, we don't know Indra will take a form like this or not, but you see Govardhan here, you're personally seeing. Have you ever seen Indra like this? Has ever Indra come to your sacrifice in a personal form and accepted all your offerings? Have you seen that? No, you know he is there, but still he has never come in this personal way like the Govardhan hill. And are you like actually taking the risk of disrespecting Govardhan, who is so powerful, for demigod you never saw with your eyes? Yeah, it's true that he exists, but sure, but see, Govardhan hill, it's right here and it's taking this form and it's much more powerful. And why not worship this? So therefore, let us pay our obeisances to him for the safety of ourselves and the cow. Why the safety? Why are we going to Govardhan for safety? Because in case you fear that Indra will cause any disturbance, don't worry. Our Govardhan is very powerful. Just pray to Govardhan for all your safety and the cow's safety. Don't worry about Indra much. So the members of the coward community, they were inspired by the Lord to properly execute the sacrifice and worship the Giriraj, and also worship cows and the Brahmanas. And then they all returned with Lord Krishna to their village. So they all came back. They all had a doubt in their mind, maybe something might go wrong. So they all stayed with Krishna. And what happens will be described in the coming chapter. So many different speakers have wonderfully presented many topics related to this. And I'm honestly like confused. I didn't know what to share today. And the one thing about Govardhan Hill is Govardhan is the Supreme Lord. We are seeing that he is personally expanding the form of Govardhan. So in one sense, he is the Supreme Lord. However, Gaudiya Vaishnavas see Girirajji primarily as a devotee also. So that is one important aspect that we are, because Radharani herself glorified Girirajji as Haridasavarya. So that is also there. So both the aspects are there. Like sometimes we see how Balramji is the Supreme Lord also. At the same time, he is the servitor Supreme Lord. He is the servant of Krishna. He is as good as Vishnu. He is actually Vishnu Tattva. Still, his only identity is he identifies himself as servant of Krishna. Similarly, Girirajji is actually considered as the best of devotees, because Giriraj is a manifestation of Krishna, but we accept him as a dear devotee and we worship him as a dear devotee, Haridasa Varya. Because Mahaprabhu has said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also called Giri Govardhan as Haridasa Varya. He is one of the most chief devotees or confidential devotees of Lord Hari. So then the confusion is like, who exactly is Giriraj? How can we understand? How can he be both like the manifestation of Krishna as well as a devotee? It like kind of sounds confusing. So we can examine these different conceptions, and then we can also give the we can also focus on the conclusion the 6 Goswamis has given. He is directly Krishna. There is references for proving or to quote that Girirajji is non-different from Krishna. So in many places, the Shastra and the Acharyas have described Giriraj as being directly Krishna. So in Jiva Goswami quotes, Govardhanascha Bhagavan yatra Govardhano Dhritaha Rakshita Yadavas Sarve Indra Vrishti Nivaranat. So Govardhan Hill is Bhagavan, is actually the Supreme Lord himself. And in this place, he held himself in the form of that Govardhan Hill. So Govardhan is the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord held himself in that form of that Govardhan Hill. Thus, all the cowards were rescued from Indra's reign. So this verse is quoted by Jiva Goswami. Similarly, the Garga Samhita also says, Giri Rajo Hare Rupam Shriman Govardhano Girihi. That is, the Govardhan Hill is glorious, and it's the personified form of Lord Hari. And there is the other quote from another Acharya, that Yesha Govardhana Sakshat Krishna Evana Samsheha. Eva Govardhana Sakshat Krishna Evana Samsheha means Eva Govardhana means this Govardhan Hill is Sakshat, is non-different, is directly the Supreme Lord, and there is no doubt about it. Have no doubt on this, that this Govardhan Hill is directly Krishna. So the above quotes like that we saw from Jiva Goswami and Garha Samhita and all the other quotes, that Giriraj Govardhan is directly Krishna, it becomes very apparent. So based on this, the numerous devotees like worship Govardhan Shilas as Krishna with a peacock feather. So then why would anyone address Giriraj as a devotee or in other ways? So for the many of the residents of Govardhan, the residents of Vraj, Vrindavan, especially Govardhan, they call Giri Govardhan as Baba, which is as a saintly person, means like a father. Baba is like father in the local language of Vraj. So they call Govardhan as Baba or as a guru figure. So that is also one reason they circumambulate on Guru Purnima. It is also Sanatan Goswami's disappearance day, and also they consider Govardhan also as Guru. So they on Guru Purnima, all the residents of Vrindavan, they go around Govardhan Hill performing worship. So if we consider that the term Govardhan means he who nourishes the cows, because Govardhana, go can also means cows, and Govardhana means one who actually nourishes. So if we take the term Govardhan as one who nourishes the cows, then we can exactly experience that meaning here, since means the nourishment of cows is exclusively dependent on the Govardhan Hill. So therefore Govardhan Hill alone should be worshipped. So this is what actually Krishna says to Nanda Maharaj in the previous verses. So here also Krishna denotes that how Govardhan Hill actually protects and provides, like a father provides for their children. Similarly, Govardhan Hill actually provides for all the Vrajvasis, and also provides for all the cows. So the word Tata can also mean father. So to this day, this conception of Giriraj being considered as a father or a guru figure, as a protector, is very prevalent in Brajvasis. And this is the general conception of the Brajvasis. We saw it is also non-different. Govardhan is non-different from Krishna, and Govardhan is also considered uh, as a fatherly guru figure, as a saintly figure, as Baba. And what is Mahaprabhu saying? So Sriman Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually saw Govardhan as a devotee, and other times he saw as Krishna also. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Antya Leela says, Prabhu kahe ei Shila Krishnera Vigraha, ihara seva kara tumi kariya agraha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Raghunath Das Goswami and says, this stone, this particular Shila, is the transcendental form of Lord Krishna. Ei Shila Krishnera Vigraha. So the Shila is actually Krishna's form. And worship the Shila with great eagerness. Ihara seva kara tumi kariya agraha. Means with great eagerness worship the Shila. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya that in the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Govardhan Shila was directly the form of Krishna. The Lord used the Shila for 3 years, and then in the heart of Raghunath Das Goswami, the Lord awakened devotional service to the Shila. The Lord then gave the Shila to Raghunath Das, accepting him as one of his most confidential servants. So it's very clear from this purport that Mahaprabhu saw Giriraj as Krishna. At the same time, our acharyas also quote their occasions where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu addressed Giriraj as a devotee. So this is from Sri Chaitanya Charita, which is written by Srila Murari Gupta. And there he writes, Danyo ayam Giriraj eva, Jagati Shri Krishna Rama Muda, Yatra Kridata eva Santatam, Aho Gopala Balai Saha. So that means throughout the universe, Giri Govardhan or Giriraj is the most glorious of devotees. So this is what here it is being quoted. Here Krishna and Ram always play in the great bliss along with other Gopas, and explaining them this with great heartfelt eagerness, Sri Gaurachandra, the bestower of the complete spectrum of love for Krishna, danced while worshipping Govardhan Hill. So there were times that Mahaprabhu saw the Giriraj as non-different from Krishna, and there are times when he saw him as the devotee, and absorbed in this mood, he actually danced and in ecstasy. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, also in Antya Leela, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes Mahaprabhu's reaction in Jagannath Puri when he sees a sand dune that is called as Chataka Parvat. He sees that, and then he recites a verse. The verse that he recites is the same verse that Srimati Radharani in Srimad Bhagavatam 21st chapter, the Venu Gita, the song of the flute. There all the gopis, one after other, are glorifying the song of Krishna, the flute song, and then glorifying Krishna. In that last, towards the end of the chapter, one gopi says, that's how Shukadeva Goswami begins. And the Acharya said, this is actually Srimati Radharani saying. And she says that Haridasa Varya. She quotes that Hantaya Radri Rabala Haridasa Varya. So this particular Govardhan Hill is the best of the devotees of Krishna. So the Radharani himself. So when Mahaprabhu was absorbed in the mood of Radharani, he saw Giriraj as the devotee of Krishna. So that is why sometimes he saw Giriraj as Krishna and sometimes as actually devotee. That means whenever he was fully absorbed in the mood of Radharani, in the bhava of Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually saw Giriraj as the devotee of Krishna, because she was appreciating how, as another devotee, that Giriraj is so fortunate, always spending time with Krishna so much, because during the day, the gopis did not have the association of Krishna. But Radharani was appreciating that how Giriraj actually has the association of Krishna throughout the day in various rasas. The pastimes of all the four rasas actually happen near Govardhan. Dasya is there obviously in all the rasas. And then Vatsalya, sometimes the coward boys also see them, and then we have this experience in Brahma Vimohan Lila. They see each other and exchange that affection. And then the boys and the cows, they all play with Krishna, having Vatsalya Rasa, the boys having Vatsalya Rasa with Krishna. And also Krishna spends time with the gopis that in the Govardhan Hill. So Govardhan is actually serving Krishna in all the rasas, and also providing for serving Krishna is one thing. However, Krishna, the importance or the significance of Govardhan is it's not only serving Krishna, but it's also serving devotees of Krishna, the cows and the cowherd men and the cowherd boys. So here, when Radharani is glorifying Govardhan as the greatest of devotees, it is because Govardhan is not just serving Krishna, but also serving the devotees of Krishna. So Krishna says, Vishnu Aradhanam Param. So, yeah, like actually, Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradhanam Param. Means, and there is like among all kinds of worships, worshipping Vishnu is the greatest. However, worshipping his devotees is Tadihaya, means worshipping his devotees is considered even better worship. So, in that sense, Radharani is seeing that how Giriraji is serving the devotees of Krishna also. So that is the glory of serving the Vaishnavas. So there is three main aspects that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave. One is Namaruchi, that is developing taste for chanting the holy name. And there is Jivadaya, and then sharing that taste for chanting the holy name to others in the world. And the third thing he said, these are the three important things. The third thing he said is Vaishnava Seva, serving other devotees. So he said these are the three goals that a devotee actually aspires to develop and practices in his personal spiritual practice strongly. Three things. One is developing a taste for chanting the holy name and actually sharing that taste for chanting the holy name with others, and also serving the devotees. So serving the devotees is actually the cause for taste for the holy name also. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur said, somebody told him like how Sankirtan or the Yuga Dharma is chanting the holy names. And then Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur corrected that person saying, no, Yuga Dharma is actually Vaishnava Seva. Because that is the root, that is the source of developing taste for chanting the holy name. So devotees with whom we live and serve and associate, they are not just other people sometimes standing in our way for bhajan. However, they are the sources of our taste for doing bhajan. They actually help in multiple ways. Sometimes they can be actually loving, caring, and affectionate, and giving guidance and inspiration by their behavior, activities. Sometimes they can actually behave in a way that forces us to shed the layers of ignorance that we have. So one of my friends, I remember very vividly, this was a big joke, when I was living in another place before coming to Bhakti Center. Of course, Govardhan Eco Village, I can take the name. It's again Govardhan Eco Village. So we had one devotee who was just standing before the deities and praying very sincerely. And another devotee walked. We are friends, so people kind of tease each other. And I was standing on the other side and chanting. And then this devotee walked in and then asked this devotee, hey, what are you praying for? So intently, like so seriously. And then with all seriousness, this devotee who was praying just turned around with a lot of feelings. He said, I'm just praying to Gaura that to make me humble, actually. He said, why pray to Gaura for that? We are all there to make sure that you become humble. He said, just go to devotees too. If you want to become humble, they can actually make it happen immediately. So you can pray to Krishna, but the instruments who will make you humble, immediate instruments of the Lord in action, the instruments of grace of the Lord who will actually make us humble is the other devotees. So we all have our own conditionings and we come into the association. So with each of our conditionings, we have a specific way of purifying each other. In the sense, like we create problems because of our nature in the association, and we experience problems because of other natures, not because they're other natures, it's our own false ego. So that false ego is the root cause of all suffering. And Vaishnava association actually removes that. We cannot just be goody and like we cannot be just like kind of in our own heads and like floating in the clouds. No, we cannot do devotion service like that. We can sit in our own home or in the temple alone. We can sing and then we can feel I'm a great devotee. I'm just so sincere and advanced, and we can have all these conceptions. And then somebody walks in and says one thing and we are like completely like boiling in anger. And that is the reality, actually. That is where our consciousness is. Yes, we also have the aspiration to be great devotees, and we have the aspiration and interest in being the servant of Radha and Krishna and all these esoteric pastimes. Yes, it's there. It's not that we don't have. However, it's like a spectrum of consciousness. We have an interest there, but our reality, we are stuck here. And Krishna mercifully lets us take our heads, like our head, maybe our eyes may be focused on something high, but our legs are stuck in the mud of material enjoyment. So if we want to go there, if I'm like looking at the 100th floor of a building, but I'm on the ground floor, so I need to get out of the ground floor and then get into the elevator. So devotees are those people who actually mercifully let us actually remove our legs from that mud of material enjoyment. Our legs are so firmly fixed in this mud of material consciousness, and without getting off that, there is no way that we will be able to. We can always look at those things and wish and hope that we are in the Leela of Radha and Krishna, serving them intimately. But that's not going to happen until we have bodily consciousness and trying to enjoy subtly and grossly the material world. So devotees are those merciful incarnations of the instruments of grace of the Supreme Lord, that they actually help us understand, shake us out of our ignorance, and help us actually shed the layers of ignorance, especially the false ego that we have. And in that way, they actually help us come close to Krishna. Sometimes it can be like a crisis in our lives because of how others behave. But for sure, we need to understand this is my false ego. And if we actually voluntarily take shelter of devotees, take assistance, take help, go and inquire from devotees, I'm feeling so nasty in my heart. How do I actually become better? That humility, when it is expressed, then Krishna becomes actually pleased. We can go before the deities and then we can cry. It is true. But how is the Lord going to make sure our prayers are answered? How is he going to answer? Is he going to incarnate specifically, like here Govardhan is coming as giver for us, and then like have a special incarnation for us and then help us? Yes, I'll tell you how to become purified. No, he's not going to do that. He's going to send other devotees in our lives. So when devotees do something, we're thinking, why the hell this person is behaving like that? That's why I'm thinking, why not she or he behave in a certain way? Why are they so horrible in now how they're doing? And I'm like going like this year after year after year, just always pointing all the problems at others, not realizing the problem is within me, and I have to actually get rid of my false ego. And these are opportunities, and I have a certain way of reacting in this world. I can actually change that. They are actually giving like an examiner comes in the examination hall and then gives us answer sheet, and then we're thinking, why the hell this person is asking all difficult questions? What does he think of himself? The purpose of your education was that you were supposed to be equipped to answer those difficult questions in the examination. That's how we make sure that you actually got the course done. You took a loan and went to college. You're now a debtor. You have debt, and then you don't even now want to get educated, and then you get angry at the examiner who poses difficult questions. No. So the devotees are those merciful examiners appointed by Krishna. So life is an examination hall. We are not here to actually just have like theoretical knowledge, but have we actually assimilated the knowledge that we sing, hear, speak, very happily go and distribute? But what is that internally that we are supposed to actually embody? Have we done that? And that test, and have we done that? That test is being taken by devotees in our lives. So when we see a devotee, there are objects of service, there are objects of reciprocation, and how we deal with them is how much we are ready to actually deal with Krishna. So that's how Krishna sees, okay, you're able to deal with my devotees nicely, you're qualified to actually deal with me. Otherwise, the examen will continue and the devotees will actually come. So things may not change, people may not change, However, how we deal with them can change, must change for our own betterment. So world may not change. It's not that you become a pure devotee, the world becomes so good to you. No, see, read the pages of Bhagavatam. Show me one devotee who was dealt with perfectly by the world, even in spite of having a great consciousness. No, that's not how the world, now the pages of Bhagavatam prove us. The pages of Bhagavatam show us, however the world may be, this person actually transforms his or her consciousness personally. Mother Kunti, it's not that the problem stopped in her life, but her consciousness was different. Vritrasur, it's not that the problems changed. It's just Chitraketu Maharaj had a different consciousness now. Earlier, he was hankering for what he did not have. And now there was a hardship before him and he happily welcomed it. When his son died, he could not welcome it the same way. But he himself was being cursed to be a demon. Imagine, everything is what we possess is not as dear as we are. Everything is external. Even though we love our wives and the kids and the things that we possess, still all those things are dear because we are dear to ourselves. So here, Vritrasura, Chitraketu Maharaj is being punished to become a demon. So it is a personal thing. He has to go through that. Still, he welcomes it with a good consciousness. So that change is the sign of spiritual advancement. The real sign of spiritual advancement is, how am I actually reacting, reciprocating, and receiving everything that is happening around me, be it people or the circumstances, because never the circumstances are impersonal. It's all due to people. So devotees, non-devotees, everything that's happening around me, how do I actually see, how do I develop the ability to react in a way that is actually conducive for my spiritual advancement, and the understanding that I am just a simple, humble servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. So that's why Govardhan Hill is worshipped as a devotee by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And all the Goswamis also pray that Srila Raghunath Das Goswami says, oh Giriraj, please give me shelter at your lotus feet. Please give me residence at your lotus feet. Because I want to be able to actually see the pastimes of Radha and Krishna that is happening on your hill near the Radha Kund. So he is seeing Giriraji as a devotee there. So with that mood also, he is worshipping Giriraji. So in this way, devotees, especially Gaudiya Vaishnavas who are aspiring to become the servant of the servant of the servants of the Lord of the Gopis, Shri Radha Gopinath, if they have that desire to actually become a servant of Shri Radha Muralidhar, then we need to worship Govardhan Hill, regularly take shelter of Giriraji. He is the bestower of all benedictions and he is the topmost devotee. By worshipping, we will also develop that attitude of being a servant of the servant of the servant, and also develop this eagerness to be the servant of Radha and Krishna ultimately in the spiritual world. That is the goal of the practice. That's what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada came to give. So Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. So in the bhava of Radharani, in the color of hue of Radharani, Sri Krishna appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for us to be experiencing that Krishna Prema, that love of Krishna, and in the mood of the servant of the gopis. And that is why he is Namo Mahavadanyaya. He is most beneficent. And Srila Prabhupada brought that message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu under the orders of the spiritual master to the Western world to spread this love of Krishna all over. So Govardhan Hill is one of the most important object of worship meditation of a devotee on a daily basis. One needs to take shelter of Krishna, Srimati Radharani, Srimati Lalita Devi, Srimati Vishakha Devi, and also Sri Radha Kund, and also Sri Giri Govardhan. So these are the 6 objects of meditation of a devotee every single day. There should not be a day that we should let it pass without meditating on our objects of dearmost objects of our meditation. And the primary objects of meditation are Radha and Krishna, her assistants Lalita and Vishakha, Sri Giri Govardhan, and Radha Kund. And we do this meditation under the shelter of Guru and Gauranga. So our worship, our meditation is never independent of the worship of Guru and Gauranga. So first we worship the Guru, we worship Gauranga, and also we worship Radha and Krishna, and remember and meditate on Govardhan and Radha Kund. And in that mode, we execute all our sadhana, be it hearing, chanting, any other service, be it speaking, hearing, or be it going distributing books, or being it distributing prasad. Everything is done in this mode of meditating or worshipping of Guru and Gauranga, and meditating on Radha and Krishna and his their associates, and especially Sri Radha Kund and Sri Girirajiga. So it was a little random. Honestly, I could not get any single point that I could just share. So whatever Krishna inspired, I was not trying hard to share something. So thank you very much for tolerating. If there was any mistake, because I was not collected in my thoughts, please forgive me. And any thoughts, any reflections, please feel free to share. Adipurush Prabhu, would you like to go? So yeah, first we can take from Adipurush Prabhu, then anyone else.
All right, Krishna. Such a wonderful class. I mean, you just pour out a nectar. It's almost like you can't, the speed that you come up with these things. Krishna and Radhanath Swami are empowering you to instruct us. We can reflect a few of the points you made, nothing to really improve on, but just reflecting. Very interesting how you mentioned that Krishna is so wonderful that he provides an object of worship. He provides an activity that requires us all to work together, which makes it really interesting. We can't do it without working together. And then he provides purification. We're here to learn and grow. And Krishna sends us challenging situations and humbling situations, and that destroy the false ego. And then we have a choice how we respond to these challenges. And you were saying the other day that Krishna loves the devotees and he never puts us in an awkward position. Remember you said that? And actually, then Dayal Gauranga was clarifying that in the sense that there are situations that would normally seem to be awkward, but the devotee responds, this is due to my past misdeeds, tateno kampang chishimakmano, or Krishna's here helping me to learn something I need to learn. And actually, Krishna's intention is to glorify his devotees. When you see somebody responding with calmness and love in a provocative situation, then you realize that this person's character is not his service, his dedication, his surrender, service attitude to Krishna is not depending on whether he's being praised, appreciated, or criticized, or ignored, or laughed at. You know, he's doing it as an offering to Krishna. That it's not dependent on the external circumstances. So Krishna is so wonderful that he's helping us to become better devotees, because certainly I have a lot to learn. And so we can, like you explained, we can respond with gratitude and continue in our prescribed duty. Okay, I'll go to Prabhupada. You can comment on the comment, or if anybody else wants to add.
If anyone wants to add anything, I did not look at the chat.
The chat was just some notes from myself and Krishna Daya Das Prabhu. While we wait to see if anybody has their hands up, I would love to reflect, if that's okay, Gaura Sharan Prabhu. I loved the reflection that Adipurusha Prabhu shared, and it made me think of the importance of gratitude. And I have heard Rukmini Walker Prabhu share that gratitude makes space for Krishna's grace. And I feel like that's very much in line with what both of you have been sharing, that when we're in that state of gratitude, and she said, you know, we don't have to be grateful for everything, but we could be grateful in everything. So that, you know, some really difficult things may happen. And as I've shared before, you know, I've had health problems and other issues that have come up. And it's not like, gratitude makes space for Krishna's grace. It's not like I'm like, oh, yay, thank you, Krishna, for like this pain. It's so great. Like I can't be falsely, I'm not that elevated, but at the same time, I can look around and see, like, as Aripush was saying, like, what's the lesson in this? What's Krishna making space for? And eventually you figure it out, you know, it's going to be there. So it's just about, and a lot of times, as you said, it's the devotees who will help us see that, right? Like I may not necessarily, I'm in the midst of the pain and the, anguish and all the things that are going on. So I need to turn to someone that I trust, that I know that can speak to me at that moment in a compassionate way, to maybe look at the bigger picture and show me, like, maybe this is another thing that may be happening. How can I see it in that way? So I think that's a really powerful way. And I think what you said about how certain people may rub us the wrong way, and how we're saying, like, why are they doing this? Like, I love that, because that's just so practical, because we deal with that all the time. And I remember another devotee saying how, especially living at the temple is like being like rocks in a river, and how the rocks, like, go up against each other and they rub up against each other. And the reason why the rocks from a river are so beautiful and so smooth is because of the other rocks rubbing up against each other. And so, and sometimes we have to kind of realize that sometimes happens with other devotees as well, or just even with people who don't realize they're devotees. So thank you so much. So if anybody else has something they'd like to share, reflect, appreciate before we have darshan. I think we have a minute left. Is darshan happening in a minute, or do we have a little bit of time?
I also need to go and help open the
Yeah.
darshan. So I'll
Yes, please. Do you want to set us up for darshan, and then we'll
so
take any...
Pushpa is going to share something, and then he'll put us on.
Okay, thank you.
So Prabhupada told us the greatest austerity you're going to have in this life is to work with the other devotees. And certainly there'll be times when we're blamed for something we didn't do, but we think, well, our understanding is, well, in the past, perhaps I did something and I wasn't receiving the reaction at that point, but it's coming now. And it's Krishna's loving hand is behind it to help us to become better. Uh-oh, something just happened there. Okay, so here comes Radha Muradhar, smiling.
Hey, devotees, it is darshan time. So if you're able, please turn on your cameras so that the Lord may see you. Though if you do not turn on your camera, as we saw in the chat yesterday, as Pink Yogi mentioned, they do have X-ray vision, so they can see you anyway. So don't worry. They have transcendental vision. So if you can't turn on your camera, it's okay.
What's that? Oh, लेके आओ
Thank you, Gaura Sharan Prabhu, for giving us darshan and even adjusting it so that we could have even better darshan. You're so sweet.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Bye. Haribo. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. We're in our afterglow. And just wanted to say thank you so much for everyone continuing to join us every morning. You know, Hare Krishna, Hopi, and Amrita Kishori, and Hamangi, William and family. Ananda Bihari Prabhu giving us a beautiful darshan of the stained glass ceiling at New Vrindavan. Can everybody see it? Hold on, let me spotlight him. Look at that. That's gorgeous. Ananda Bihari is giving us a glimpse into the spiritual world. With sound. Oh, wow.
I'm taking notes like crazy. I'm going to share everything.
Okay, so thank you, everyone, and we will see you tomorrow.